A man's tearful hand sprinkled ochre powder over his son's still body, a desperate attempt to protect it at the base of the towering cliff. As the tribe trudged away, a lone vulture, drawn by the scent of blood, descended. It began to tear at the boy's seemingly lifeless form, but the searing pain startled Kata awake. Injured, Kata thrashed, grabbing the vulture by the neck and flinging it away. He looked around, realizing he was stranded, immobile, on the sheer cliff face. Desperate, he screamed for help, but only the desolate wilderness answered. Starvation loomed, but a daring idea sparked within Kata. Cautiously, he attempted to climb down, but the sheer 90-degree rock face proved treacherous. He slipped a hair's breadth from death, only to seize a narrow crevice, saving himself just in time. The situation was dire. His strength waned as a torrential rain began to fall, making the cliff face a death trap. Below, the ground stretched into a seemingly boundless ocean. Kata knew staying meant certain death. With a terrifying leap of faith, he plunged into the churning depths below. The next morning, Kata awoke, caked in mud and severely injured, his leg useless. He painfully dragged himself to a muddy puddle, drinking the stagnant water. To his surprise, he found an earthworm, which he devoured to replenish his meager energy. After this makeshift meal, he pulled off his boot, revealing a badly bruised and swollen foot. With grim determination, he braced his right foot between two rocks and, gritting his teeth, snapped the bone back into place. Then he fashioned a simple brace from sticks and leather. Finally, he reached the top of the cliff, finding a cairn, a pile of stones, his father had built. Kata's father, the tribe's leader, had presumed him dead. He had cried out for his son all night, but the tribe's survival, the women and children, had demanded he lead them away. Alone and abandoned, Kata collapsed, overwhelmed by despair. A false howl pierced the air. He looked up to see a pack of wild wolves closing in. With a jolt, he hobbled away, but the wolves were too fast. He broke free, scrambling up a lone tree. The pack eventually dispersed, but one injured gray wolf remained. Kata prepared to finish it off with a makeshift spear, but as he drew near, the wolf whimpered. In its pathetic state, Kata saw a reflection of his own abandonment. He couldn't bring himself to kill it. Instead, he tied the wolf's muzzle with a rope and led it to the river to clean its wounds. Just then, he spotted other wolves on the hillside. The injured wolf's companions hadn't gone far. Kata found a hidden cave and brought the injured wolf inside, then collapsed, utterly exhausted. The next morning, Kata awoke to find the gray wolf, now free, staring intently at him. Unafraid, Kata carefully approached with a bowl of water. Sensing his lack of malice, the wolf relaxed, drinking deeply. Kata, though hungry himself, shared his meager meal of insects with the wolf. Knowing his meager food wouldn't last, Kata went hunting the next day. He was lucky to find a rabbit, which he killed with a stone. Back at the cave, recalling his ancestors' methods, Kata began drilling wood. After a full day of effort, he finally succeeded, and the delicious scent of roasted rabbit filled the air. The gray wolf, eyes fixed on the delicious meat, began to drool. Kata, testing it, told it that if it wanted to eat, it had to be obedient. The wolf, surprisingly, lowered its head like a dog. Kata threw it a piece of bone. The next day, Kata prepared to resume his journey to the tribe, telling the gray wolf to return to its own pack. But no matter how he tried to drive it away, the wolf refused to leave. Kata set off alone, but the gray wolf, now named Alpha, followed close behind, mirroring his every step. Kata threw a stick to try and scare it off, but Alpha, like a loyal puppy, retrieved it and brought it back. At night, they huddled together for warmth. Every morning, Alpha would wake Kata with an affectionate nudge. Despite their differences in species, their trust and dependence on each other deepened with each passing day. One day, they spotted wild boars. Alpha charged without hesitation, Kata nervously gripping his spear, ready to assist, but a wild boar charged him, knocking him flying. Alpha watched helplessly as the prey escaped, a flicker of frustration in its eyes at Kata's misstep. That evening, as temperatures plummeted, Alpha tried to curl up next to Kata for warmth, but Kata pushed him away. The clever Alpha, however, waited until Kata was fast asleep, then quietly snuck back to his side and curled up. The next morning, Alpha woke Kata with a gentle nudge, a routine born of their deepening bond. Kata then decided to give Alpha a bath. He led Alpha to a river and, to the wolf's surprise, even catching a fish to bring back to Kata on their journey. Kata would playfully whistle a particular tune, making Alpha think he had food, and Alpha would always come running, sometimes retrieving a stick he threw. As winter deepened, Kata and Alpha became a highly effective hunting pair, their bond seemingly unbreakable. They believed they would be companions forever, until one night, as they ate, a ferocious black wolf suddenly appeared behind them. Kata immediately raised his spear. Alpha, seeing the threat, rushed forward and licked the black wolf, the true alpha of its old pack. Surprisingly, the black wolf seemed appeased and turned to leave. Alpha then looked back at Kata, a silent plea in its eyes. Kata understood. Alpha wanted to return to its own kind. Go on, Kata whispered, a lump in his throat. Without Alpha's companionship, Kata was left to trek through the raging blizzard alone. Every night, he tossed and turned, tormented by Alpha's absence. After what felt like an eternity, he thought he saw Alpha's familiar figure in the swirling snow. Ignoring all caution, he chased after it, only for the ice beneath him to suddenly crack, sending him plunging into a freezing ice cave. The strong currents pulled him down. Just as he was about to drown, Alpha appeared at the surface, desperately trying to break the ice to reach him, but it was too late. Fortunately, Kata managed to use his dagger to break through the ice from below. Alpha then grabbed Kata's arm and pulled him out. The icy water left Kata shivering uncontrollably. Without pausing, Kata quickly started drilling wood to make a fire. Once the bonfire was roaring, he stripped off his frozen clothes. Despite his best efforts, Kata became gravely ill. But this time, Alpha didn't leave. Instead, it stayed faithfully by his side. Then they finally saw signs of human life. A lone tent. Kata was overjoyed, but when he ran over, he found the occupant frozen solid. Hope shattering within him, he searched the tent but found no food, only a crude bow and arrow. With no other option, they continued on. They hadn't walked far when an avalanche struck. Kata quickly pulled Alpha into a nearby cave for shelter. Inside, Alpha's eyes fixed on a dark presence lurking in the cave's depths, a huge black bear. The bear charged Kata, but Alpha bravely leapt forward, engaging the massive creature in a fierce struggle. The size difference was immense, and Alpha was quickly overwhelmed. In a critical moment, Kata used the crude bow and arrow, shooting the black bear dead with a single, precise arrow. But Alpha was gravely wounded. It struggled to stand, ensured Kata was safe, and then finally collapsed. Kata immediately lit a new fire, warming Alpha and carefully cleaning its wounds. At this point, Alpha was truly his family. After a brief rest, they resumed their journey, both still severely injured, struggling forward. After what felt like an endless trek, Kata finally spotted a human-made landmark. He walked over and brushed away the thick snow to reveal his tribe's symbol. He knew he was finally close to home. The blizzard raged, but each step was fueled by a powerful, desperate determination. Finally, Alpha collapsed, unable to go on. Kata walked over, gently stroking Alpha, promising he would never abandon him. Painfully, he picked Alpha up, continuing forward. Even if it meant dying, they would die together. That night, Kata could no longer walk. He collapsed in the snow, slowly losing consciousness. In a haze, he saw his parents' faces, full of longing. The powerful will to survive jolted him awake. He clung to his stubborn resolve, cradling Alpha, and continued his desperate march. Alpha, still critically injured, was held close, and Kata refused to give up. With relentless effort, he finally saw his tribe. He stumbled into the camp. When he saw his father, he could no longer stand and collapsed. His father, overjoyed, rushed forward and hugged him tightly. As Kata drifted into unconsciousness, he pointed at Alpha, managing to whisper one word: "Save him." When Kata next awoke, he found Alpha lying beside him, and to his astonishment, Alpha had given birth to a litter of puppies. It turned out Alpha had been pregnant all along, fighting and protecting him even while carrying her young. Kata and Alpha both recovered. Alpha's pups grew strong, forming the foundation of a new bond between man and wolf. In time, every member of the tribe would take a wolf with them when they went hunting, recognizing their unparalleled loyalty and skill. And so, through Kata's remarkable journey, the world's first true companion, the dog, was born.